Hey everyone, today I have Battle Hoth. This is by Days of Wonder, and if you notice this little galactic battle thing, we have a sinking suspicion that this is going to be like a series of games like Battle of Endor, Battle of Jakku, I don't know, Battle of whatever in Star Wars. But I've been waiting for this game to come out for a while. Jason picked it up, we played it a bit, and I gotta say, I really like this game. I know this is based off the Memoir 44 system, but it's not exactly the same. I know for the people that really like Memoir 44, some have been saying that they hate this idea. I actually think this is very good for what it is. When Jason picked this up from our local game store, it came with these little structure miniatures, promo set 1. I don't know if these are supposed to be sold separately, but Jason got it when he bought Battle of Hoth. And it comes with 2 shield generators and the ion nipple boob gun thing.
Prepare to fire giant boob nipple gun.
Battle of Hoth here is a 2 to 4 player game, but it's really a 2-player game because it's going to end up being quarterbacking, so that doesn't really sound fun. The age range is 8+, which I think is simple enough for a strategic war game that age group will do well. I'm not really good with kids, so I don't know how to judge their intelligence. And the back of the box does not give it justice to actually how good the stuff is in the box. It's a very simple game. You play a command card to tell your units to do stuff in their sections. You move your units, you roll dice, do the result, and then you draw a new command card. That's the whole gameplay loop. It's so simple. But the thing that is unique about this is, and I say this doesn't give it justice, is because inside the box, I did not expect this. We have some pretty standard cardstock to explain all the terrain things, which this is a nice reference. But there's a campaign system in here, which I did not expect. We have a scenario book, which I expected, and we've played through the first 3 scenarios, and this is actually a pretty nice feature. And then we have our rulebook. Our rulebook is 11 pages, and it's neat that it didn't have any weird filler, but the game did enough to explain how some niche questions would come up. The appendix system is very nice here, mainly because there's not much in the game. But everything's well laid out. This book flows very well. It's very simple. Getting ahead of myself, showing off a little bit more. Our board, our player board, which is divided up in these 3 sections, very simple, very easy. This little score tracker here, where you defeated enemy units, will be placed here. So we have Imperial Rebel side. And then I was questioning what this backside was. And I believe that it says Epic, that if you have 2 copies of Battle of Hoth, you can put 2 boards together and make a really large game mode. And I was like, that's a cool idea. That could actually make it a true, 4-player game. The board itself is really nice. It's not warped. It's stud up to New Mexico's dryness. So I like the board. We have these terrain tiles that modify the board state, give different conditions, and we get a good variety of that. It actually makes it feel unique. Now, in the regular game box, it will come with the ion cannon and 2 shield generator tokens. But like I said, if you are able to get the promo box, you get these nice 3D shield generators. You get 2 sets, which I don't remember in Empire they had 2 shield generators. I could be wrong. And then we have the ion cannon sitting here in this pull-out tray. I'm guessing that's what this spot is, because we can't find a spot to fit these generators, or the ion cannon. It fits well in there. But the detail on them, it's not super fine, but it's enough detail that makes you feel like you're getting something really cool. The ion cannon itself, I've never realized it had this weird trice shape on it, and painted, this thing probably looks really good. But for the light side, we have the standard echo-based turrets that get blown up really easy. We have the snowspeeder minis. The plastic peg on them is actually pretty decent. And then we have Rebel Troopers. They're all the same, but they're made out of a pretty good material. And of course we have a nice little reference card that is double-sided, which is good for just checking between your enemy's attacks and your attack abilities. But the thing that was what surprised me is like this pull-out tray. In a game where you have a lot of small components and minis, it's usually a fixed tray, really annoying. This is very nice. It is a quick setup system. You just pull out whoever you're playing and you just set up your scenario book. It's a great system and it was well thought out. Things that you can do to modify some units too is these tokens. They give some different abilities to the regular infantry units so they don't feel like they're just the same things over and over. Same card for the Empire, so that's not going to matter. The Empire gets really nice looking ATs. I was actually impressed with the detail they put on this because I was expecting it to be kind of smooth, but I actually really like this. You get 3 sets of them. They do lock in a little hard and they're kind of a rubbery plastic, so you kind of need to pinch them, but I don't think it's that bad. The probe droids you get, they are very nice and more detailed than I expected. And then we have our legions of snowtroopers, which again, they have a lot more detail than I expected. But having this tray system for both players just to grab whatever, pull out and set up, it's really quick and convenient. We have these little player card dashboards. You just put your cards in here so you can kind of have them face up. I don't really think it's needed in this, but it's a nice little convenient quality of life improvement. They do lock in together, but they have a nub only on the right side, so it kind of makes it weird on that side not having it. And because it's curved, you know, it kind of gives you that more, you can hide stuff. And then the other thing that I really was surprised by, this actually fits all the cards sleeved. I feel like Days of Wonder has planned this. If you sleeve your cards, they made a nice gap. It's not super perfect, about 1 card above, but for the most part, it holds sleeved cards. And the system is pretty straightforward. If they did give a divider, that would have been nice to separate, but again, it's just 2 decks. It's not that hard to figure out. The dice in this, they give you a set of 6 dice, and the dice are fairly simple and easy to read, color-coded. Might affect people with color blindness, but the symbols are pretty obvious. We have this symbol here. This is a route retreat symbol, which means that whoever got shot has to move back that many spaces of how many these faces are rolled. We have 2 infantry sides, which means they will kill an infantry unit. And then we have a blast side that is a catch-all pretty much for any unit. We have this giant leg gear thing. This is for vehicles specifically. And then we have a miss. Very simple, very easy to read. It's actually a nice, convenient system. For some gee whiz stuff, this isn't a specific scenario, so don't think this is actually anything in the game. There's no spoilers really, except how the system works. Each side is going to have 3 leader cards. They'll be named here, like this is Admiral Piet. But we got Deploy the Fleet, Orbital Strike Reinforcements, and then we got General Veers with the Walkers, and then of course we got Darth Vader. You start by picking your leader and taking their 3 cards, and you just mix it into your deck. Just shuffle it up, and then depending on the scenario, it's going to tell you draw X amount of cards, but it's also going to tell you how many victory points you need to win a battle. And the question comes down to, well, how do you get victory points? You get victory points by killing the last unit figure. If this Stormtrooper battalion got hit, that means 1 guy would lose. An interesting system in this is also, even if you have 1 mini on the table, they still get their full allocated combat dice for that unit, which I think is actually a really good system. For the Rebels, we have Han Solo, Luke, and Leia. And again, it's the same thing you pick. There are 5 of these event scenario cards. I think they're specific to the campaign. There's 5 for each side. But the game pretty much starts where the scenario book is going to tell you your setup, and it's going to have it in this 3-lane format. And that's pretty important. But once you set up everything, it will say who starts, which is always good because you don't have to flip a coin or anything. And then they make their opening move of how many cards they draw. Now, these cards, you have your standard regular cards. And the terminology is kind of loose on this. If it says vehicle, it's specifically talking about vehicle units or special units like the droids and the turbo laser battery. But if it doesn't really say anything, it's going to be units or a generic catch-all term. But all you do is you pick a card and you play it, and you can see this card is divided into 3 areas on the board. That tells you how many units you can activate. A neat fact that came down was this line. This is technically part of the third side and that side for these probe droids. So I can move them. And this is where the game gets a little neat. You have these reference cards. It tells you what symbols needed for them to hit. They're not worth anything. So you're going to move, and depending on how many spaces away, that's how many dice you roll. So if I activate Region 1, I can move this Stormtrooper unit 2 spaces, and then depending on the range, I'll get 3 dice, 2 dice, or 1 die. If I target the Snowspeeder unit, 2 spaces away, I roll 2 dice. If I target these troopers, they're 2 spaces away, 2 dice. The terrain will modify, like this breaks line of sight. This actually increases your attack as you're on a hill, and these are impassable. But just for example, I shoot the troopers. That's 1 hit. They lose 1. And then my turn is over. I will discard the card that's played and draw a new card, and my opponent does the same thing. And they too, you can check out their stuff without asking your opponent all the time, are the same. So they'll move up there, they'll shoot their 2 dice, and that's a complete miss. Now let's say it's back to me, I play a card, and I roll 2 routes. It means they have to move back 2 spaces. It's so straightforward and easy. If somehow I killed all the units, I just take one of their minis and I put it on my marker. And then we check whenever, whoever gets the point first wins. The components are amazing for how much this costs. This was $60 retail. Getting the bonus structure box, I'm not going to include that as a benefit because I don't think that's going to be normally with retail. But component quality, detail, and the simplicity of the game is what I really appreciate. It's not over bloated. It's not super expensive for what it is. And the replayability feels really good. Now you think that it might be a little one-sided because, you know, there's 4 stormtroopers to a squadron of Rebel 3 troopers. But I've been playing the Rebels most of the time, and the Rebels seem to have the better advantage with the terrain. The Empire is more on like cheap shot abilities. And I was expecting something to be a little bit more lopsided, but this actually turned into a very, very tight, well-tactical game. One of the missions, Jason almost had me, and I ran a desperate gambit with snowspeeders, and it won me the game just because taking out his AT was worth 2 points versus taking out infantry units, and that's what helped me win the game. The ability to do these choices of, I'm going to plan future moves of split maneuvers because you have hand size, you can pretty much pre-plan and kind of trick people into falling for stuff. The terrain use in this game is very good, especially being modular and adaptive. We haven't run into the objectives with the shield generator or the nipple boob gun yet, but we'll see how that goes. There are some weird things like snowspeeders. They can go over these canyons, which no other unit can. But then, like one formation rocks, when you move into rocks, you just end your movement and stop. And I was like, that's kind of weird for snowspeeders because they fly over things. They shouldn't have that issue. And then again, like the AT-AT, I mean, these things are terrible. They are the worst designed military vehicle in the world. They can't even walk up a little hill. There's a lot of unique restrictions, but nothing too complicated. Having these 2 sets of cards be double-sided with all the references on it is very handy. It tells you what's needed to hit them. For the AT-AT, it's a little bit different. and it can't retreat. But if you get a vehicle hit or a blast, you have to re-roll the dice of those faces to score that hit. You have to roll another blast. So your odds of one-shotting an AT-AT are extremely low. But it can happen, especially with snow speeders, or if you get close enough. The risk reward in this game is actually really good. Line of sight's fairly simple. It is center to center. You do have those fringe cases where it's on a line, and I'm not talking about this line, but I'm talking about that line. That counts. But if two of these were adjacent to each other, you could not draw through that line now. It's gone. So here they can't see each other, but here they can. It's simple, it explains everything. It's actually just a really good game, and it fits a lot of my personal preferences of what makes a game good. First is cost, which is obviously duh. But the second thing is ease of learning and playing. This is extremely easy to play, and I know I've played a lot of games, so maybe that's bias of me to say it. The rules were easy to understand, not a giant rule book, nothing overly complicated. The value of the minis and what you get for this, there's a lot of minis. The detail on them is way higher than I expected. The speed of gameplay, the rounds were about 30 minutes. We played 3 games in about 2 hours, and that's after setup and sleeving and doing everything else. It's very straightforward. Those are the things that I kind of miss. This plays a lot like, I guess Milton Bradley board game, but not bad. It gives you that tactical in-depth that you really want when you want to plan and do something, but it also feels rewarding. It's not super luck-based. I mean, you have a 50% chance to kill an infantry unit flat out. You have 1/3 chance to take out a vehicle, and you got a 1 in 6 chance to miss. The dice are pretty favorable. The terrain offer a huge advantage, especially if you can use them to your advantage, because of the scenario that I played Jason in where I thought I was going to actually lose the game. I won, and that's because I was using the scenario, and he was using the scenario terrain properly. And it was kind of a cat and mouse, and I had to bait him out to get his AT-AT to be vulnerable to my snowspeeder attack. But it's very fast-paced, it's very simple. The leaders offer enough variety that makes it feel like that you actually got other things going on. It's not one-sided. The leader abilities are fairly powerful, as they should be, but you need to spring them when you need to, because if you miscalculate, you're going to lose out on that. Your deck of cards, too. Only one game I actually had to reshuffle my deck, and that was because I was playing the long con here. But overall, this game was very tense, and thematically it's fun. It's not a super deep tactical war game, and I honestly don't think it was made for that. I really think this was made for just kids getting into and understanding wargaming. And personally, I've really enjoyed this. It's something that I've been saying that the board game community needs to go back to is, not giant, horrible Kickstarter games that have a bajillion minis and have really terrible gameplay. Days of Wonder did a phenomenal job with this. If they continue this whole galactic battle system they have, I hope that, they do stuff like Battle Naboo, Battle Endor, Battle Jakku. Hell, they might even try to incorporate some space stuff, which might be cool. But that might also cause a lot of issues. But yeah, Days of Wonder did a phenomenal job in Battle of Hoth. Like I said, it checks all my boxes for what makes a game good. And then, like I said, it surprised me. More companies need to do something like this. Include little game trays if you're going to have a bajillion minis that go straight to the player. Don't do the thing where you take all the minis and put them, oh yeah, there are 2 sides, but they're all in the same tray. Have fun pulling that crap out. They're small, they're compact, they're easy to get on the table. I mean, just look at this board. It's not a lot. And it's fun. It is a rare thing for me to see this. Jason paid $60 for this. Like I said, he got the promo pack included. I believe that's the actual MSRP for this, but I will double check. But yeah, Battle of Hoth. If you like Memoir 44 and you like Star Wars, this is probably, go get it. It's nowhere as complicated as Memoir 44. This is a happy compromise. If you have people that want to get into tabletop or wargaming and they want to understand these types of tactics and rules and ideas behind it and the strategy to learn from, this is another great thing. if you like Star Wars and you just want to do the Battle of Hoth, I think you're going to have a lot of fun. As far as the 4-player aspect, I don't think the 4-player aspect is going to work out well because you just split the deck. I don't really like that. That's kind of like how Rebellion splits makes the 4-player game. And it's just going to turn into quarterbacking because that's just the way those games work. But yeah, I'd rate this like a 9 or a 10 right now. I think it's that good. I hate giving numbers, but there's no way to say it. Buy it now. But that has been my review for Battle of Hoth. Thank you for watching. If you like what I do, please subscribe to the channel. I'm still doing the 2025 giveaway. Sadly, I got nothing to add from this video. Other than that, take care of yourselves, and GG's.